What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Plains Perspective. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're just going to talk about a little bit of basketball and a little bit of spring practice. It's going to be a pretty quick one today, not too much to cover, but we're just going to kind of dive right into it. So our Auburn Tigers played Seattle University. And we ended up winning that game pretty convincingly. Well, not convincingly towards the end, but it was more of a domination throughout the game. But we ended up only winning by 91-85. But throughout the game, you never really felt like Auburn was in trouble. It felt like Auburn had control of the game throughout the whole game. And like I said, this is another NIT game, so, it does take a minute for the players to get involved and to get into it and to feel like it's a meaningful game. But at the same time, when a competitor wants to compete, they're going to, eventually snap into it and do whatever it takes to win. And that's kind of what Auburn did that game. A few things I noticed throughout the game was Sway. He was a guy who very highly touted out of high school, and he does all the little things very well. He was more in a role player situation that I feel like he should have been in. I feel like he should have been more of a lead. I mean, he played 19 minutes, had 15 points. But what he did was he dominated. It wasn't settling for three or wasn't doing all this. He put his shoulder down and went to the goal and scored at will. And that's what I wanted to see from him throughout the season, because that's where we needed it out of another four-man. We didn't need someone to, post up, ISO, do all this other stuff. We needed someone to grab the ball and go score at will. And that's kind of what he did in this game. And, it sucks to see it come in so late, but at least we got it before next season. And this is a guy I'm very high on returning next season. I don't really see him transferring. I think he loves Auburn and Auburn loves him. So I'm hoping for another year from him, and we'll see where that takes us. But yeah, like I said, 6 for 6. He even shot 3 for 4 from the free throw line, and that's where he struggled all season. But he can really actually shoot the three ball, and so it was concerning because he's such a mental player, I think, because he started off the season struggling so bad from the free throw line, and for him, I don't think it was that possible for him to come over that hill and be able to just get over it and go back to shooting free throws at a high level. I think for him, it's so mental, is why it's took him so long to get back on track from the free throw standpoint throughout this season. And if he ends up coming back next year, as long as he starts the season off well, I think he could really be elite from the free throw line, especially how well he gets to the goal and how well he can draw fouls. But at the same time, he did struggle with getting blocked quite a bit this season. He's 6'10", and it just feels like if he just would go up stronger, like I said, if he would go up with will, he would score a lot more points. He'd get fouled a lot more. And, hopefully next year he works on that on the offseason. Like I said, super young kid. So I'm still expecting a lot for him next year and hopefully take that step forward. But the next guy I want to cover a little bit is Elijah Freeman. He played all 40 minutes. That man did not touch the bench once. And he put it. And here's the thing about that, though, is when he was in the game, you could not tell that he had been in the game for 40 minutes. Some guys, when they've been in the game for a while, you can start to see their performance drop off. No, this man is in great shape. He was on the floor the whole game, and you could not tell that he'd been on the floor the whole game. He was all over the place, rebounding, scoring, getting assists. He was really doing everything. And a thing about Elijah Freeman is since that Kentucky game where he got the putback dunk, he has been so what's the word I'm looking for? He's just crashed the boards and made rebounding part of his identity. He has such great length that he can really rebound at will and do anything he wants with his athleticism and his intangibles. And so to see him take that step forward and realize that could be such a key part of his game is really huge if he ends up coming back next year. Because a guy who gives you 19 and 7, that's a guy who, can be an all SEC caliber guy. And so I'm really high on him for that. And, it hasn't just been this game. It's been the last few games. And look, 6 defensive rebounds, 1 offensive rebounds. But it feels like every single time there was a rebound that was loose, it was always him either tipping it around or grabbing the ball. And he really played well for how many minutes he played and the situation he was put in. But yeah, I'm very impressed with him. I mean, 19.7 rebounds, 2 blocks, no turnovers. I mean, you can't ask for very much more. 7 for 10 from the field, 4 for 5 from the 3-point line. I mean, this guy is like 6'8" with a 7'5" wingspan, and he's shooting 4 for 5 from the 3-point line. So I'm hoping next year that we give him more of a scoring role and he can kind of embrace that role. Because if you have a scorer and a rebounder at the same time at that high of a level, you can be a very, very successful team. If he's like our 3-man, I'm very high on him. Kevin Overton played very well. He shot 7 for 13, 4 for 9 from 3 with 23 points, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. He had 3 turnovers, which isn't the best, but when you're shooting that well from 3, you kind of get away with a few of them. But yeah, he played super well. But let's see. Filip Jovic, that's another young guy. I mean, he's a freshman. He's a 21-year-old freshman. But at the same time, he's super raw, and he played very well last night. He shot 6 for 9 from the free throw line, so that really needs to improve. But he's a guy, I feel like he had a perimeter shot on him, and on the offseason they were posting about it, but it just seems like he has not been using it. But he dominated. He had 5 rebounds. And 12 points. 5 rebounds, 12 points. That is a solid stat line. If that's a guy that comes back next year and is a solid guy off the bench and maybe develops a little bit of a jump shot and we can throw him at the 3 and have him back up, Elijah Freeman instead of having a 6'8" in the SEC, it's hard to win when you're that small. And so I'm hoping we bring him back and he's a key role guy next year and he continues to develop. And by his senior year, you never know. Maybe he'll be a starting 4 caliber kind of 6'8" guy who can go out and get you 15 and 8 every game. But that's in the future, and I'm hoping he develops that. Daha did struggle. I mean, he played 31 minutes, but here's what he did. He shot 7 for 8 from the free throw line. He had 3 assists. The turnovers, he had 3 turnovers, so not the best, and 9 points. Like I said, which when Elijah Freeman and Kevin Overton and, Sway are scoring 23, 19, and 15, his job isn't really to score. He's dishing and finding other guys to score, and that's what he did throughout this game. And so, I feel like he did his job, and he did his job to the point where what Auburn needed him to do. And then, Kata Magwood, a guy who had that disciplinary issue earlier in the season, he ended up playing. He played about 13 minutes. He shot 1 for 2. He had an and-1, but he had, 2 assists, no turnovers with 4 points with a rebound. I mean, for 12 minutes, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? And for a guy who hasn't played all season, he's still getting his feet wet a little bit. But, his the way he plays off the bench and like his passion and aggression is what Auburn, I think, was missing a little bit this season. It feels like we didn't have enough fight. And so I'm hoping if he comes back next year that, Stephen inserts him into the lineup a little bit more and, is a little bit more strategic with him. And hopefully he can keep the off the court stuff, to a minimum. But, yeah, that's all I got on like Kata Magwood, but like I said, I'm very high on him, very highly touted kid. Let's see. Keyshawn Hall, he had 9 points, but he had 15 rebounds and 5 assists. And he played 38 minutes, and I know we give Keyshawn Hall a hard time, but he's playing, he's doing his job. He's playing his role and he's a competitor in these few games, and you can't ask for much more than that in an NIT tournament. This is a guy who wants to win, and I've been happy, to see him go out and compete at this high of a level after being kind of bashed throughout the end of the season. But yeah, that's kind of all I got on that game. Like I said, we won 91-85. Auburn did not cover, but they were up. They had a pretty decent lead going in or throughout the whole game, and just towards the end, they kind of just fell apart a little bit. Sway had 5 fouls. Let's see, I think he might have fouled out. No, he had 5 fouls with quite a bit of time to go. So when we took him out of the game, we kind of lost that momentum that he was bringing to the table with his will to get to the basket. But and that's just on coaching. And Stephen Pearl said something at the end of the game, and being aware of making those mistakes. He's a first-year head coach, and being aware of the mistakes you make and being able to better yourself throughout the season is progress, in my opinion. And so I'm hoping he makes even more progress through this offseason. Hopefully that, Auburn can regain what they were these last few years and go back to the top of the SEC where they've been. But Auburn was winning by 12 in the second half, and they actually lost, or first half, and they actually lost the second half by 5. But like I said, it wasn't, the score doesn't say it all. But yeah, that's all I have on the Auburn basketball game, and they play Wednesday night at 8 p.m. So I'm not sure what the crowd's going to look like, but hopefully, there's a few people that show out and show up. But yeah, I mean, just another home game and another chance to, get better from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint. So if we continue to win, we'll continue to go over it. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, just to move on from that and kind of shift a little bit, spring practice started last Tuesday. And so we've had a few practices. And I'll tell you one thing that's different about this than the previous years is that this team has the intensity and the want to win games in practice, if that makes sense. They practice in the spring to win games in the fall. I felt like last year it wasn't really to the point where we were practicing to win games. We were practicing because we were required to show up. You know what I mean? These guys are in there trying to get better day in and day out. And one of the words or one of the like the phrases that's been on every wall that there is be who you say you are. And that's kind of Alex's goal. It's just theme for this year is be who you say you are. And a lot of guys last year, they were, not, they would think they were one thing, but not be it on, in the film room or on the field. They were kind of flip-flop. And that's just something Alex Golesh is not going to tolerate. And so, that quote and that theme for this spring has been, very important. I feel like it's posted on every single wall there is in that building. And that's something that is a difference, but it's also a necessity for Auburn to change and to come back to a program that's respected. But moving on from that a little bit, we're going to talk about Xavier Atkins. He had an interview with the media, and one of the quotes he said was, "The previous regime asked for excellence. This regime demands it." And this day and age of college football, you kind of have to be sensitive and work your way around when talking to players and coaching at a high level. Alex Golesh does not do that. That man is there to win football games, and if you're bought into this program, he's going to buy into you. And whenever you have that high of expectations for your team and you act and you demand the excellence, because if you don't have that excellence coming, you're not going to play. It doesn't matter how much money we're paying you. It doesn't matter about how much flaws you have off the field. It doesn't matter about any of that. If you're not bought into the program and willing to come in every day and pursue excellence, you will not play under this regime. And that's something that Alex Golesh has bought into, and that's something that the team has bought into. And Cole Best said it best when he said, if the coaches have to carry the culture, there is no culture in place. And a guy like Xavier Atkins, understanding that quote and understanding that the staff demands excellence and being a leader and telling everyone else that this is not the same Auburn that it was last year. This is an Auburn that will demand excellence and do the best for this university and their fans, is huge. And it's something that having that already implemented in spring ball is very rare to have, and to have a team that's led by its players and not its coaches, because don't get it twisted, this is a player-oriented team. This team is ran by its players. So it's not only coaches demanding excellence, it's the players demanding excellence. It's Byron Brown demanding excellence. It's Xavier Atkins demanding excellence. And Cole Best demanding excellence. And there's been a few guys on that roster that, you kind of have to earn to be a leader. And even a guy like Kenneth McManus, I was watching an interview with Cole Best earlier. He said that Kenneth McManus has started to become a vocal leader, not because he thinks he's better than everybody, because he's earned it. He said he's in the film, he's interviewing. I mean, he's with coaches, he's meeting with other offensive linemen. He's earned the right to be a leader on this team, and that's something we were missing last year. We did not have a guy who earned the right to be a leader on last year's team, and this year we have three of them. You know what I mean? And so, and there's probably more, that the media just hasn't seen yet, but I'm sure there's more leaders in there internally building and building and building. And here's another thing about this team. This team is close because you're not worried about, you want what's best for Auburn. Obviously, you want to play and you want to compete with your teammates and you want to compete for playing time. But at the same time, if you have a leader in your room, you're not looking at them with resentment. You're looking at them as an actual leader. You're looking at them to get better, because once they leave next year or go to the draft, you have to fill in. And when you're understanding what the leader in your room is doing, as soon as they leave, there's no fall off, because you can step right in and be that leader. And I feel like last year we didn't have that mindset. We had, you're a leader, but why am I not the leader instead of you? You know what I mean? And I feel like this year we've earned it and players have earned it. And, like the seniors are bought in. And this is a lot. This is the last year for Byron McCole Best. I mean, these are two guys who've played, a lot of college football, and this is the last year. And so they're bought in to doing what's best for this program. And they're leading by example. They're leading vocally. I mean, you'll see videos and stuff of Byron Brown just running around, hyping people up and understanding that his role is so much bigger than just being a football player. His role is to be a role model. His role is to be vocal. His role is to be intentional with everything he does because everyone is watching what he does. And I don't remember the last time we had a leader on this team like that. And last year, we had Keldrick Falk, who was obviously a leader, but he wasn't as vocal as, a leader needs to be. If you're going to lead the whole team, you need to be a vocal leader. And you need to understand that just because this man makes more money than me, doesn't mean I can't respect his authority and understand, his experience. But yeah, leadership is so big on this team. And I'm glad that we finally have a player-oriented culture where Alex Golich refers to it as a player-driven process. And that will win you games, you know what I mean? And not having to rely on coaches to pick up the slack. And it's little things. I mean, because culture isn't just set on the football field. It's set on the way you treat your trainers, how clean you keep your locker room, people showing up to, film on time. It's so much more than just performing on the field. It's all these little things. And when you have players that can hold each other accountable without getting offended, that's when your program becomes dangerous, and that's when your program becomes elite. And I feel like Auburn has the player-driven process to be an elite program so far from what I've seen. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on our culture and kind of what spring's shown so far. We haven't seen that much, but, just from a talent standpoint, it's kind of what you've expected. We haven't seen anybody go out with the ones or twos or anything like that. It's just kind of been intentional stuff, drills and whatnot. But moving on from that, we have a true freshman. His name's Brady Marchese, and this is a guy who was committed to Michigan. He was a four-star recruit, top 100 player, but he was a four-star recruit on some of them, not on 247, though. He's a three-star on 247, but he's 6'1", 190, and he's a true freshman. He was committed to Michigan, but then that whole scandal happened. He got released from his commitment or letter of intent, flipped to Auburn, was on campus, and then Auburn football posted a video like 2 days ago. It was a deep ball by Reese Brush, which was a beautiful ball. I mean, yeah, the catch was insane, but it was a beautiful ball. I mean, I don't even remember seeing a ball that clean last year, let alone in spring practice. But yeah, he was down the field, one-handed catch, grabbed it, held it in, touchdown. You know what I mean? And that's a true freshman who it was so highly touted out of high school and is coming in to make a difference right here so early in the spring. And I mean, if we can get him some reps and him to understand and him just having a deep wide receiver room and just continue to expand where we have so much depth in that room, it could be very promising for Auburn this year, especially with that wide receiver room being so deep as it is. If we just add the freshmen there and they continue to play at that level. Another guy, Brian Williams, flipped from Alabama to Auburn. This guy is huge for a wide receiver. He's number 15. I don't have his stats or anything pulled up right now, but that guy, he's going to be a monster. And, being that big and moving with that speed is kind of crazy nowadays. But, yep, super high on those two. And a guy I'm super high on is Deshaun Spencer. He's out of Saraland, broke all of Ryan Williams' records at Saraland. I haven't seen much of him this spring, but I'm expecting to see him on the field this fall. But yeah, I just wanted to go over, a little bit of basketball and a little bit of spring practice so far. We haven't seen that much, so there isn't that much to talk about. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up with that, and I will catch y'all next time. War Eagle.